This is the Anvil Media SEO August 2021 webinar on local search best practices and trends. And we're going to give a few more minutes in case anybody joins the webinar here. But this recording will be available on Anvil Media here within the day. And all our webinars are available there as well, all our past webinars. Should be good.
All right, as Mike just said, this is our August webinar where the SEO team of Anvil is going to be talking about local search best practices and trends. I am Rachel McMahon. I'm one of the SEO specialists here at Anvil alongside my colleague Mike, who is also an SEO specialist at Anvil. So let's get started. And for this webinar, we are going to first talk about what local SEO is and why it's important. Then we will discuss current local SEO best practices and give you some tips on how to improve your local SEO performance and visibility. And lastly, we will cover some tools that will help you improve your visibility and improve your connection with searchers and in your target locations. So to start off, Mike will give you an overview about what local SEO is and why local search is important.
Yes, local SEO involves dedicated search engine optimization strategies that are going to help your business and help improve your visibility in your local area. That is, your business, your service, and your products can all be advertised through local SEO. In this webinar, we will share proven strategies that help to improve organic rankings within your target service areas. Some of the top ranking signals for 2021 include signals from Google My Business, which has to do with your business's proximity to the searcher, the categories you use on your Google My Business, your product highlights, and more. The review signals that are on Google My Business and other review sites, your on-page optimization of your local elements, like your name, address, and phone number, and your location-specific keywords in things like titles, meta descriptions, and schema. Local linking signals, links from other local businesses, inbound anchor text that uses local keywords, behavioral signals from users like click-through rate, citation signals, personalization to the searcher, and also social media signals. So why is local SEO important? You know, as Google develops its search algorithm and as our smart devices continue to evolve, we are doing more and more searches on our cell phones for a business in our local area. Additionally, the COVID pandemic kind of forced a shift toward a focus toward local businesses and location-specific activity. And two major misconceptions we'd like to clear up about local SEO through this webinar are that local SEO is only for small businesses. That's just not true. Whether your business has 1 location or 100, you have a target service area. Local SEO should be a priority. Large retailers like Home Depot and Walmart utilize local SEO every day to target their customers. And the second misconception would be that local SEO only applies to brick and mortar locations. Service-based businesses should absolutely incorporate local SEO into their strategies for maximum visibility within the area that they serve. So one of the first elements and most recognizable elements of local SEO is the Google Map Pack. I think we've all seen these maps show up at the top of Google search results, and it's a set of 3 to 4 local businesses that display the business information like the name, address, and phone number. And when it comes to getting seen in a local search result, that map pack is really a key feature and earns you higher visibility and engagement from users. Over half of all the web traffic comes from mobile devices, which means that your presence in that map pack is even more important on the mobile device. Comparing the desktop search engine result page against the mobile search engine result page, we see that the ads take up a significant amount of space, followed by up to the 3 to 4 map results. And then next, we will talk about some of the local SEO best practices, and Rachel's going to dive in with Google My Business.
Perfect. So the first best practice, and probably one of the most important strategies when it comes to your local SEO initiative, begins with your Google My Business, which is essentially a listing that provides your searchers with important information and details about your business, which will then help users decide if they want to actually engage with your listing and become a customer of yours. So these details are very important for acquiring new customers and returning customers. So as you can see to the right, we have some screenshots of a sample Google My Business listing, and we have some best practices listed on the left. And the first best practice when it comes to your Google My Business is to fully optimize each of your listings as much as possible. You can see that each Google My Business listing has several different types of details to include, several different areas to share with your users. So any areas where there is no information or there is lacking information, users could pass up your listing because they didn't have enough information to make a decision. And Google could actually pass up your business as well because Google couldn't determine whether or not your business was the best possible resource for a searcher. The second best practice is to create a fully optimized listing for each of your brick and mortar locations. So if you are a retail business with 3 locations, each of those locations can have its own Google My Business listing. However, if you are a service-based business, your Google My Business listing should only be for an office location. So you should not be creating a Google My Business listing for a PO box, for virtual offices. That type of strategy will potentially have Google flag your Google My Business listings and potentially remove you from Google altogether. If you are a business with multiple Google My Business listings, make sure your business name is consistent throughout each profile so that Google is able to establish a connection between all of your locations. Make sure you're regularly monitoring and updating your listing with current information and photos, making sure your hours are up to date, your product highlights have the correct information, that you are addressing any reviews that have recently come in, things like that. Do not try and stuff keywords into your business name. So for the screenshot on the right, Walmart Supercenter is a perfectly good business name. You want to avoid things like Walmart Supercenter, Best, Portland, department store, that kind of thing. Again, that's another thing that will penalize you and potentially get you removed from Google. And the last is to respond to all of your reviews, whether they are good or bad. Google really likes to reward businesses that engage with their customers and prove that the customer experience is very important to that business. So individual elements that you should really optimize when it comes to your particular Google My Business. The first we just talked about is reviews, so making sure that you respond to those reviews, but also earning reviews on a regular basis. You don't want to just have 1 or 2 reviews from 5 to 6 years ago. Users want to be able to confirm that your business still provides a positive user experience, positive brand experience. Photos, making sure that you are regularly updating and submitting new photos of products, your team, your office, your building, inside building, outside building, all types of photos to really showcase who you are and what you offer to customers. Your primary business category, this is one of the more important components to your Google My Business. This is a category that essentially encapsulates what your business is about and which industry you primarily serve. So you want to make sure this is consistent across all listings, again, so that search engines can get a proper understanding of what your business is about. And then Google also has secondary categories as well. So if there are any other industries that would be applicable, make sure you set those within your secondary categories. You can list out your services and make sure that all of your services are personalized for each listing, making sure that it's accurate for each location. You can build out your service area. So this is not only where your business is physically located, but your service area is anywhere that you would travel or that your customers would travel from in order to engage with your business. And I believe Google allows up to 20 individual locations within that service area, so you can really build it out. There are a wide variety of attributes that provide additional insights about your business. So when COVID came about, there were attributes such as masks required. You can also highlight things like online appointments, dine-in only, things like that, to really give people a better idea of what they can expect when they come to your business or, again, engage with your business. Business open date, this is a really important feature that could really set yourself apart from your competition. If you set your business open date, that will then qualify your listing to display how long you've been in business. So you can imagine if a customer sees something like 25 plus years in business, they know you are the experts within the field. There are product highlights that you can build, which essentially include product photos, pricing, any important information a user would need. And if a user clicks on the product, they can actually then be taken directly to that product page and then continue on to purchase. And then lastly, there are Google Posts, which is a mini social feed on your Google My Business where you can share deals, promotions, pretty much anything that would be noteworthy to users. And here we have an example of where all of those individual elements live. So you can see at the very top where the reviews and the average rating live, the primary category, there's a description, which is what you create, and this would be a really great opportunity to utilize any important keywords. We have the departments, so if you're a department store or a larger retail business, you can actually include departments. The attributes, where there is the check marks that list in-store shopping, curbside pickup, delivery. Those are really important things that users will want to know before engaging with your business. Similarly with the health and safety, those are more important now than ever. On the right-hand side, you can see where the product highlights are. You can click on those to navigate to the respective product page. And then at the very bottom, you can see photos, which are both owner-generated and user-submitted as well. So your customers can actually submit photos to your Google My Business listing. The best practice number 2 is reviews. So everyone pretty much knows how important reviews are when it comes to deciding on purchases, deciding on hiring services, pretty much any business interaction comes with the influence of reviews. So 93% of consumers actually say that online reviews have influenced their purchase decisions, and 94% of people say that an online review actually convinced them to avoid a business. So again, reviews are incredibly important when it comes to earning your business, but it's also great for local SEO because search engines obviously want to make sure they are providing the best possible resources to their searchers. So brands or companies with lower star ratings or negative reviews is kind of a sign that it might not be a good suggestion for users. So if you don't have reviews, or if you have minimal reviews, low reviews, that could really negatively impact your ranking. So when it comes to earning reviews, you want to work to earn reviews on a regular basis. So again, that not only takes care of the issue of having 2 or 3 reviews from 5 to 6 years ago, but it also helps to accumulate a higher number of reviews over time. Again, respond to all of those reviews, whether they are good or bad. It doesn't need to be a lengthy response. It could just be, thank you for the review, we're glad you had a positive experience, or just quickly addressing the negative experience on the flip side. Search engines really reward businesses that really prove they care about their customers, and businesses that engage with reviews is one way to prove to Google and other search engines that you do have that care for your customers. It's really a really easy way to acquire reviews is just to ask your customers to leave reviews. The best time to request a review that will actually lead to a published review is just immediately after a transaction or a purchase has occurred. So immediately after somebody has made a purchase, hey, how was your experience? Please feel free to leave us a review. That's the best way, or the best time to request a review for where you'll actually get a published review out of it. And lastly is don't be afraid of your negative reviews and don't try to hide them. A few negative reviews is not going to penalize rankings, and listings with 1 or 2 bad reviews is not going to automatically be pulled from Google or anything like that. In fact, a few bad reviews can sometimes work in your favor because users these days feel like 1 to 2 bad reviews is more trustworthy compared to a business with all 5 stars. So a few 1 or 2 negative reviews is nothing to be worried about. And at the very bottom, you can see how impactful reviews are. In fact, those top 3 items are strictly for reviews and how they actually lead to users becoming customers or converting on your Google My Business or even your website.
The next best practice is creating individual location pages. Location pages are highly important when it comes to local SEO. Technically speaking, location pages accomplish the following goals. Each page communicates to Google that your business serves people who are within your service areas. The structure of the location pages informs Google which areas are most important to your business. And the internal links on those location pages actually send users from the location pages out to other internal pages and will pass SEO authority across those links. Some best practices for the location pages. For brick and mortar businesses, each physical location should have its own dedicated page. Major service areas, for example, Portland or Seattle, should have dedicated location pages. And actually, you can go beyond that and do sub-pages for popular neighborhoods, if there are popular enough neighborhoods within your city. As mentioned above, those sub-pages really help inform Google the importance of the higher level pages. So for example, here you can see that within Chicago, that you could have a sub-page for Cook County and the River North neighborhood. Ensuring all business information is present along with any notable localized content such as landmarks or points of interest. You can add an embedded map with the capability to get directions to each location. And you can also include links to any high priority internal pages. For example, on a retail page, you would want to include links out to the top product or category pages. And a great example of what we're talking about here is Home Depot. Home Depot does their location pages very well. Looking at the screenshot below, you can see the URL structure includes the specific location keywords like East Portland Mall, Oregon, and Portland. And the URL actually even contains the zip code of its location. The page itself contains all the relevant business information, and further down there's actually a map and links that navigate to other internal pages. Additionally, further down on that page, Home Depot also has included the top products and store-specific content, local specific content that helps them rank in their local area. The next best practice is on-page elements. Along with location pages, the additional on-page elements can have an impact on your local search rankings. Search engine crawlers process that on-page information to really better understand the purpose of the page, its contents, and how it relates to searchers. Elements such as page titles, meta descriptions, headings, and content are really valuable areas of the site to include for this local optimization. With the on-page elements, you should always incorporate target service areas within the H1 headings of the priority pages, but they should be in those headings naturally. Do not force or keyword stuff those terms into the headers. Page titles, they currently have a character limit of 60 characters, so along with your target keywords, you should try to include the applicable cities if possible, and location information should always come after the target keyword. Meta descriptions currently have the character limit of 155 characters and serve as sort of the elevator pitch for every page. Using the meta description to entice users to click and including those location-specific keywords can help drive the click-through to the page. For example, serving the Portland metro area to inform users that the business does not strictly serve residents just within the Portland city limits. The next best practice is adding schema or structured data to your page. Schema is a bit of additional code that is added to the back end of the website and allows search engines to really process and understand your website in kind of the most simple way possible, just the bare bones information that they need. And the better Google understands the website, the more it can understand how relevant your website is to a searcher's query. In terms of local SEO, the most important schema markup is going to be the local business schema markup. This markup includes latitude, longitude coordinates, along with a bunch of other information, like the page's URL, the address, phone number, name, and hours of the location. Each location, in the terms of a brick and mortar business, should have their own local business markup unique to each location. You should include all the required properties of the local business schema, which include the URL, the postal address, the name of the business, and the name of the business. Local schema has several other recommended properties, and really the more you build it out, the more you include, the better your search results will be. For service-based business, you can include a has offer catalog, which includes all these services within the code to better communicate to search engines what services are offered to those locations. After creating the schema markup, you should validate the code using Google's Rich Results test, which is linked here in the presentation, but you can also find that just with a quick Google search. If there are any errors or warnings, you'll be able to fix those before it's implemented onto the site. You can actually update them in the tool itself and then rerun the test to make sure it's validating properly.
The next best practice is understanding how your users will search for any given target location. So no matter where your users are located, they are going to refer to locations differently. They're going to use different keywords. So it's really important to understand that search behavior. More importantly, search behavior is actually gravitating towards more conversational queries, so users are really searching in a way that they would actually talk. So some areas to really consider when you are trying to understand locations and even keywords. The first is how people actually refer to the target location. So large or smaller cities would have users potentially searching by that city. Larger cities like New York probably are going to refer to the neighborhood. You also have potential cases for using counties, parishes, all of those different ways to distinguish locations are important to consider. Understand if any areas use nicknames or abbreviations. That way you can optimize your location pages or even your service pages for those acronyms or those nicknames. For example, Manhattan, oftentimes people will refer to the Upper West Side as UWS, and sometimes people will just refer to it as Upper West Side. So utilizing both of those will help to improve the visibility for both of those references. And for Portland, many people refer to it as PDX. So that is something to keep in mind if you are optimizing for the Portland area. Understand if people will most likely use near me, like women's shoes near me, or if they will actually utilize the city and state after the type of business or even after the search. And to really understand how users are searching in your target areas, you can utilize tools such as Google Trends and Google's Keyword Planner. Those tools really hone in on your set target locations and can give you guidance on which keywords you should go after and how users are actually searching within those locations. And we'll actually go into some details on these tools in just a moment. And from these two screenshots, you can actually see how different the results are depending on how a user will search. So for the screenshot on the left, the search was women's shoes near me. So if I am within the Lloyd district or a neighborhood close by, I have a better chance of appearing in those results. But if I'm a neighborhood that's outside of that immediate area, the chances of my business appearing are very minimal. So that is a consideration to really understand before you determine how your users are going to search. And on the flip side, on the right-hand side, if a person were to search for women's shoes, Portland, Oregon, you can see there's a much bigger service area that appears within that map. So if my business is within the Portland area and I'm optimizing for Portland, Oregon, I have a much better chance of appearing there. So it's really, really important to understand how your users are actually going to search. The next best practice is your citations. So citations are essentially online mentions of your business name, address, phone number, and oftentimes there's additional important information that's included as well. So the main goal with your citations is that the information is accurate and that search engines are able to understand that your business and your brand overall is trustworthy. So trustworthiness comes from your reviews, and it also comes from the accurate information that is included within those citation sites. So if information is outdated, if it's incorrect, or even inconsistent, you can imagine how search engines like Google could have a hard time determining what information is true and which information is not true. So that confusion can really negatively impact your local ranking. So when it comes to your citations, the #1 best practice is NAP consistency. NAP stands for your name, address, and phone number. So we want to make sure that the business name appears exactly the same across all of your listings, and that the address and phone number for each location appear the same across all citations. So for Annville, example inconsistencies could be using Anvil Media versus Anvil Media Inc. And on the address side of things, the inconsistency can come with using the acronym for street versus spelling the full word out. And those seem like very, very small details, but they do make a difference, so consistency is key. Online reputation management. So similarly with your Google My Business, you want to consistently earn new reviews and respond to all reviews on your citation sites. And you also want to regularly monitor and update your citations to ensure all of the information is accurate and up to date. As we mentioned at the top, if anything is incorrect, if there is any cause for confusion, that could really negatively impact your ranking. And the last one to consider is focusing on relevant citations. So there are hundreds and hundreds of citation sites out there. And the goal is not to be present on every single one of them. The goal is to be present on citations that are important and relevant to your business. So for example, a service-based business might consider platforms like HomeAdvisor and Nextdoor, whereas a travel-based business might focus on sites like hotels.com or TripAdvisor. And lastly, as I mentioned, there are hundreds of available citation sites, but there are 5 main listings in addition to your Google My Business that should always be claimed, updated, and fully optimized. So those would be Bing Places, Yelp, your social media platforms, mostly like Facebook and LinkedIn, and Apple Maps. And the reason these are the most important is because they are the most popular or most visited citation sites. And then our number 8 best practice would be social media. So these days, social media really indirectly impacts your web page's SEO authority, referring back to the 2021 local rankings factors. Social media only accounted for about 2%, but just because it is a smaller percentage doesn't mean it should be completely left out of your strategy or ignored. The way social platforms and social activity really influence your local visibility is through location targeting. So businesses can utilize local hashtags, location-specific hashtags there. You could become active within community Facebook groups. So all of that activity is processed and understood by search engines as your business primarily serving those areas. So search engines are able to paint that picture about your business, which then will help your rankings within those targeted areas. Social media is great for your online reputation. People are sharing their experiences with your brand, with products, with your services across social media. So that is a way search engines validate whether or not your website, your brand is trustworthy or whether it provides a positive user experience. So ultimately, positive experiences will help to improve your rankings, whereas negative experiences could have a negative impact on your rankings. And then social media is great for brand recognition. Many people will actually go to social media profiles for a more personal experience and to get more information about a brand that's not immediately visible on the website or Google My Business. So it's just a great way to share even more information with your customers. So the screenshots below, you can see how location-specific elements of Instagram and Twitter are utilized. On the left-hand side, you have the Upper East Side location within the Instagram profile, and on the right-hand side, you have a New York hashtag specifically for New York jobs. So those are great examples of how to incorporate location targeting within your social media activity.
Then next we'll be talking about some local SEO tools. You probably already heard us mention a few, but we're going to outline our favorites. So the first is Google Trends. Google Trends is a great tool to analyze the popularity of search queries across Google search and across various regions, languages, and devices. Google Trends is a really effective tool in terms of understanding how the users of various regions prefer to search and the trends around that. Below you can see the popularity of one of the, I think the oldest debates based on kind of where you live in the country, and that's pop versus soda for both the Chicago and Los Angeles areas. Users in Chicago prefer pop, while users in Los Angeles prefer soda. This information provides guidance on which keywords to prioritize depending on your target location. The next is Google Keyword Planner. Within Google AdWords is what's called the Google Keyword Planner, and it's a tool that's not only useful for just the paid side of your campaigns. It's really good for SEO and local SEO specifically as well. This tool can also be used to understand the popularity of known keywords, but it can also be used to acquire any new keywords. Like Google Trends, you can pull keyword data for set regions, languages, and devices.
The next tool is Moz, and Moz is one of the most well-known faces within the SEO world, and one of their tools that's the most helpful is the Online Presence tool, which is great for your citation management. So what this tool does is scans citation sites and notes any areas of inaccuracies, any citation opportunities, and it will let you know where those missing pieces of information live and how you can improve those opportunities. So it's really, really great to understand which of your citations may need to be updated, or if you should consider creating a new citation on a different site that you weren't currently considering. And the last tool that we have is Bright Local. This is a really great tool for businesses with multiple locations or a larger website, a larger service area. So along with the citation management, like we saw with Moz, Bright Local also has a local search rank checker, so you can see how you are actually ranking within your service areas. You can manage your online reputation, which you can see within the screenshot below. You can manage your reviews, see any new reviews that you received, and you can actually respond to the reviews directly from this platform. You can do a local search audit to really pinpoint areas of opportunity, and then this tool even comes with a Google My Business audit to really strengthen that listing and make sure you're getting the most value from it.
So in conclusion, whether your business has one location or hundreds, Anvil feels that local search is more important now more than ever. As we mentioned, the COVID-19 pandemic has really pushed consumers to think and shop more locally. Virtual assistants and smart devices are also going to continue to evolve, and their preference toward those location-based search results is going to continue to grow as well. The most effective strategy will be to learn how to fully optimize and take advantage of your Google My Business listing, with accounts for 22% of all local SEO rankings. Those Google My Business listings account for that 22%. Additional local SEO strategies to utilize include structurally sound and optimized location pages, locally focused on-site elements such as page titles, meta descriptions, and validated local business local business schema markup. And lastly, getting support from tools such as Google Trends and Google Keyword Planner for keyword research, as well as Moz and tools like Bright Local for citation management and that online reputation management.
All right, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to visit our website. The URL can be found right there, www.anvilmediainc.com. And on the title side, we've included our email addresses. So with any questions, if you would like any information on the information we included, please feel free to reach out.